talk to young peoples, and young peoples, yeah, they're cool. And I really like talking to them, like during our conversation, I will ask like, what is your desires? Do you have, the important thing is your emergency fund. At least you must have at least 3 to 6 months. That is what in like what we have been practically doing it. 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses, every month expenses. Okay, so by just because of MCO, all this crisis, we need at least 1 or 2 years of your monthly expenses to be saved on your emergency fund. So I ask them that. So if they don't have it, why not they start it up? Like having that, and then for sure, everyone's like them and like me. Also, we have a desire. I want to buy a house. There might be like young people, they want to buy a bike or a car or a house as well. So from there, we can strategize. How can we go there? Yes.
Welcome everyone to Heart Talk. This is a lunchtime session that we are live on YouTube. For those of you who have just joined us, we are beaming you live from Kota Kinabalu, and this is an exciting time, a very important topic. For those of you who are actually on Instagram, I'd like you to switch on to the YouTube channel, Heart Talk with Dr. Charles Lee. For those of you for the first time who are dropping in, please press the subscribe button. I'd love to have you kind of getting in touch with us during our lunchtime sessions. We are live every Wednesday and every Friday. But Wednesdays are the days that the Inner Club takes on control and hosted by the Heart Talk podcast. The Inner Club is ENER, stands for Empowering a Network of Entrepreneurs in the Real World. And that real world is a world without the problems that we are facing today. As a plastic surgeon myself for the last 35 years and a doctor for 40 years, the real world is one without disease. The real world is one that does not have inflammation as a killer epidemic across the world. The real world is a world where anti-inflammation is a lifestyle, be it in the food we eat, be it nutrition, health, spiritual, whatever we are doing. We are born with this word inflammation. Inflammation, root word means inflamed. Flames means burning. And so a lot of what we are doing, we are actually burning within ourselves. And if we don't have any control over it, it will take a better half of our life. So I want to welcome all of you. Today we have a very, very special guest. And it's a very important topic, and it's personal to me. Financial literacy. So if I'm going to talk to you about anything concerning money, then let me release these scriptural words of truth and wisdom right out first, because as the scriptures say, nothing that goes out when it's from the word of God comes back void. So let me read. For the love of money is the root of all evil. While some covet it and go after it, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. It is the love of money which is the root of all evil. So there is no discussion on money matters without knowing that when we love it, begins a journey of evil as opposed to good. Now, to me, this is a very critical topic. As a doctor, there's one thing that I never learned right throughout my whole career is the money management and lifestyle that goes with it. And so I'm delighted today that we have a very special, and I'm honored to have her with joining us. And her name is Stephanie Yap. She is a financial desires consultant. This is the first time that I'm having the word financial consultant split, and in the center is the word desires. And that is what struck me as I was glancing through LinkedIn. And there she was, Stephanie Yap, and Steph in short. And so I'm going to welcome Stephanie to join us right now live on YouTube, Heart Talk with Dr. Charles Lee. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hello, doctors.
Good afternoon and welcome. Yes.
Yeah,
How
thank
are
you.
you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so tell us something about yourself.
Yes. My name is Stephanie Yap. I'm a financial desires consultant. I'm connecting your desires with financial responsibilities. I'm currently staying in Shah Alam. I'm helping people like you to manage your end goals, retirement fund for your desired lifestyle you want.
Wow. Sounds a mouthful, but it's a handful of wealth and knowledge, Stephanie. You know, Stephanie, let me just start our lunchtime conversation. Heart Talk is a heart to heart conversation about real life issues. And we are living in a world with a lot of fake news in front of us. Okay, we are blinded by a lot of things that are happening. Last night, I was listening to, the United Kingdom. There are two contenders for the next prime minister, and when then during the debate called hustings, both of them were crying out loud with this whole notion about inflation, cost of living, winter is coming, there's no food on the table, energy prices. Now that's the cry out loud in United Kingdom, Stephanie. All right. In this part of the world, Malaysia, where you and I are living, the world news and the local news is totally different. It's as if we are immune to what is happening in the world. And so this topic on financial literacy is critical for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And I want to start off by just addressing the second part of that topic is to the sandwich generation, Stephanie.
Yeah.
That sandwich generation, I'm very passionate about because I lived there, I was there, I went through it, and I know what it is to be totally at the mercy of the dollar. I did not know how to stretch the ringgit, how to stretch it to make it of its value. All right. And so the sandwich generation can range from 30 right up to 50s, you see. At one time, it was coined as from the 40s to the 50s. But today, the younger generation are marrying earlier and earlier. They're having their families much, much early, in the early 30s. And many of them have children, and many of them live in homes where their parents are still there. So I want to take us back to the 1980s because when I was in England 40 years ago, as I said today, as I said just now, last night they were crying out inflation, inflation. 30 years ago or 40 years ago in England, they were crying out the same thing in the 1980s. Inflation, inflation, inflation. Now tell us, your whole life journey starts with when you were in New York City. So talk to us what happened and how did you land up there and what were the milestones in your life at that time?
Yeah. I was in New York City like 27 years old. My first trip to overseas, and my purpose there is to make money because dollars, like dollars is bigger than Malaysian ringgit. That's why I'm there. Another reason is because of my parents are having a financial crisis during the 1980 plus. So I knew that without the money, I cannot survive. Yeah, money is not important, but we need money to survive in this world.
Yes. All right, go ahead, continue. So you got up to New York City. The parents are going through. That's right. So that was the great. It was termed as the Great Inflation of the 1980s. And so, what were your parents were going through a difficult time in the 80s, right?
Yes, because of the financial crisis, that moment of time, my family was into a very huge challenges, that's bankruptcy.
Okay.
So this is what makes me see the importance of the money. It's not because of the money itself, it's the way we manage the money. So that's how I decided when I got a chance, I really want to step out to go to overseas to give a try on that for better money.
All
So
right.
yeah, what I'm doing there is I'm actually starting wiping tables. I used to work in the banks in Malaysia, but I went there because because of that, and I start wiping tables, and my hands get sores. Okay, so that's how my journey, and then I see the importance of money there because Without you having all this money to earn by yourself, you are unable to pay the rent, and you will kick out anytime soon. So I am responsible for myself on my journey, no matter where I am. So that's how I found the importance of money at that moment of time.
Okay, and you chose a restaurant.
Yes.
Why? Because it was you get free food and you can save more.
Yes, that's actually what it is. The main reason, because of the accommodation and food, and I can save a lot through that because the rental is not cheap. So that's how I save.
Right, right. Okay. And what brought you back? I mean, was that the beginning of your exposure to money matters in your life?
Yes, that's the journey. Yeah, that's the first time like me really exposed to the money matters, because I work in Malaysia. It's not enough for me to to start up everything. It's just nice. I can give my parents, but I couldn't save for myself. That's why I need to find a way to able to give my parents and also for myself. That's why I make a decision to go there.
Okay. And what brought you back, Stephanie?
Okay. Opportunity to brought me back here. Okay, so since I'm away for more than like 12, 13 years, so I finally like decided to come back. This is still my country, the root where I'm born.
Sure.
So yeah, when I'm back here, I really saw a different things like how people manage money, and then it's still not enough for me to survive in Malaysia here. So yeah, I started to manage my own financial also.
So, what do you mean by managing your own money? I mean, listen, I have been working for 40 years. And I think that if I were to think of the number of years and the monthly earnings I would have made, and and I were to calculate like 10 months in a whole year just working, and I would have made, or earned. I think the greatest gift in life is the ability to earn, Stephanie. And I would have earned probably like 50 million, over the last 40 years of working life. And now I can't even account for where it has gone. It's just come and gone, come and gone. And but you use the word money managing quite often in your. How did you manage your money in that very early stage of earning, and what did you do? I mean, were you counting your coins as they came in?
Yes, I'm not ashamed to say that I really do that, especially when I was in America. I did a journal on my expenses, how much I earn, how much I spend. I even wrote down every penny, like 5 cents or 10 cents, what I has earned. That is how I can see when I spend over and when I spend less, because I still want to go for travel in the States. So I have to manage that by myself. Yeah.
No, that's where it goes. Count your coins. There's a saying. That's a good one to remember in today's conversation. They say count your blessings one by one. I think in
Yes.
today's world and market, we should count our coins one by one.
Yeah.
All right. And then what happened? Go ahead. And so you managed to do quite a bit of savings while you were there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it is. I really save a lot from that. So every time when I do the journal, yeah, my friends, like my housemates, will say like, "Hey, this is not the way." I say, "No, this is the way." Why? Because I know how much I overspent this month, and once I overspend, and next month I know I have to cut down. I had too much like wants rather than needs, because why? My purpose here in the States is to earn money and bring it back home. And I want to have a better life and as well lifestyle. So I have to have this discipline.
I wish I had one of your genes, but but okay. So while we're talking about this counting coins,
Yeah.
give us all the first one, two, three desires in your heart. You're about 27, 30 years old. You're working tables, you're working double shifts, you're doing two jobs. And it was all about, I grew up in the song, money, money, money. It's so funny. It's a rich man's world. That was the song we used to sing. So while you're counting your money, oh, I love you for saying all this, man. I wish I'd learned this at that time when I was your age at 27. What were the desires that you were in your mind? Because you are now looking back on 30 years later, a consultant of desires. How do we put this? So what was your desire? What was your primary desire at that time?
Yeah, my primary desire is to get a house like everybody else.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
America?
Yeah. If I can, for sure, I want to be. But
Uh-huh.
this country is still the root where I'm born, so I want to come back and get a house
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yes.
All right. So
Mm.
did you manage to do that? So when you came back to work, or you came back to find that one house that you desired?
Okay, I came back to work first, and I'm also already had a house, but I'm still owing. I am in debt, owing a bank. So at that moment of time, I'm having problem to pay because of the loan. So I know the pain, and I have to sell off that, and I have to pay off the banks. All these years I have saved because of this house. So yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you there because this is a real life issue, and that's why we're having this heart to heart conversation. You went to America wiping tables. You did two jobs. You saved all your money for a purpose and a desire to buy a house. You come back and then you go into debt. How did that happen?
That happened because I was supposed to be in a job, and it's ended. It's just suddenly something's happened, and I got uh, like fire. And then in that point of time, the earning like RM and compared to USD are totally huge difference.
Okay.
I'm making like about 3,008 at time Malaysia ringgit, but it's still not enough, especially in the city. And I have a car, but I pay off the car because that's a second-hand car. And I still need to, that time I was looking for a place to stay. So so like by having a rental, but I'm just being like lucky that time because I managed to get an apartment, really paid off everything from what I had in my hand, cash I paid off. So I'll be able to stay there without paying any rental.
Wow, I mean you see, this is what life's journey is all about, isn't it, Stephanie?
Yes.
But we all go through all the ups and downs, and we just do not know what's around the corner. And you were able to navigate and come out of that crisis, even though it was your desire to own a home, but you ended up by having a problem with debts, and then you covered it, and then now you're fine. Now, so during that time when you were counting coins, was that the time you became financially literate?
Yes, because when you counting the coins, like so I sometimes I ask myself, why am I doing this?
Uh-huh.
And the other questions come back like, why are you here? Had you forgotten what your parents have been gone through? And your purpose here is to make money and bring back home to have a house and for your parents in the coming time. So that's how, like, when counting points, you're so excited whenever you see you can save more every month. Yes.
Now, so let's just move on from there, Stephanie. What is financial literacy to you today?
Yeah. Financial literacy it's not just a knowledge nowadays. We can go online and Google search everything, but it's a kind of preparation for ourselves in our financial futures or now. We just don't want to fall into the trap into our own financial crisis. But the most importantly is the action and discipline during the journey. That is how I look at the financial literacy.
Yes, and it's a skill. Is it a skill?
It's not only a skill, it is like financial literacy is part of everybody's life. We can't live without it.
So it's like education. I mean, you get
Yeah,
educated on money matters. Money management. How
yes,
do you
money.
plan? Right, right,
Yes.
right.
From the beginning, it's just like you got your money. The first thing, like your income and your expenses, and then what the leftover you save. That is the first step of it. And then you have to plan where your money need to go. How are you going to manage that to reach whenever you and I are getting older? Because when we are born, we for sure we will go to the age of retirement, the old age. So this is the financial literacy has to come in with all the knowledge. So from where we started and then where we ended to enjoy the fruits we have at the end.
Right. I tell you, for me, in my life journey so far, up till today, the biggest snare in my own life, other than health, which is a crisis, is finance. And I think this is something that we need to be alert and aware of. That I never knew the meaning of inflation. Honestly, when people talk about inflation, I just knew how to be a doctor. I just knew how to be a surgeon, go to the operation theater, operate, come back, pay the bills, pay this, pay that, not educating myself on how to save and retirement fund and that kind of thing. I mean, these were things that, I mean, I wouldn't know what name to put to it, but just blindsided, you know what I mean? And no initiative at all to educate myself on money matters. You understand? And I think this is something very important for all of us to know, that financial literacy. I'm just giving you a pretty good example of what they're screaming out there in the United Kingdom, which they did 40 years ago when I went to England for my exams in surgery. And today we are in a different world here, and the newspapers are coming up with all sorts of news other than the incoming inflation that's coming in. And that's why many of us get caught, with I would say our pants down, because we're not aware, we're not ready for it. Now I want to read this to you. About 4 years ago, and I wrote this down, I printed it and put it in front of me. 2019, the former finance minister, Mr. Lim Guan Eng, he made this statement. He said, many young Malaysians are financially illiterate, and this does not look good in this country. Many young Malaysians are trapped in debt, and many are close to bankruptcy. And with it came the Employment Provident Fund. They came out with statements to say that two-thirds of active contributors at that time had only 50,000 in their savings, as opposed to 250,000 in their savings. Now, we don't. These are statistics, and now when I'm so passionate about the sandwich generation, because I know that when I was in it, and I think you're part of that generation yourself, you're not out of it.
Yes.
How important it is to be financially literate. I mean, that's 64% of the country illiterate, young people. And today, we talk about startup corporations and against the corporation life. And, people want to have their own flexibility. They want to go to work at any one time. They want to, they just want to have that, I call it psychologically unemployable. They want to be masters of their own trade. Now, start to give us a feel in your profession as a consultant. A young people, all of us had desires. How do we put that into a context of being careful not to become financially bankrupt, which is possible? I mean, I've been through struggles my own life. I know what's it like, Stephanie, to get phone calls from the bank. You haven't paid your loan for 2-3 months. This was in 1997, when there was a finance crisis. And at that time, we had 2-3 properties. The loans were 2%. But because of that crisis, it became 14%. And it was, it was such a trying time mentally, physically. So you are now a consultant. How do you talk to this particular generation? And I'm very passionate, sandwich generation, young people wanting to own a house, wanting to own a car, wanting to have that lifestyle. Go and visit the cafes. Who are the people who are sitting there and having their time at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night? It's this generation of people. And if they don't watch out and start counting coins that you did when you were 27 years old, don't you think there's a crisis before all of us?
Yeah, yes. I love to talk to young peoples, and young peoples, yeah, they're cool. And I really like talking to them, like during our conversation, I will ask like, what is your desires? Do you have, the important thing is your emergency fund. If anything happens, at least you must have at least 3 to 6 months. That is what in like what we have been practically doing it. 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses, every month expenses. Okay, so by just because of MCO, all this crisis, we need at least 1 or 2 years of your monthly expenses to be saved on your emergency fund. So I ask them that. So if they don't have it, why not they start it up? Like having that, and then for sure, everyone's like them and like me. Also, we have a desire. I want to buy a house. There might be like young people, they want to buy a bike or a car or a house as well. So from there, we can strategize. How can we go there? Yes, it's easy to talk and it's easy to say it, but it's very much difficult to do it because we need discipline on that. But along the way, once you do it, you will feel the suffering in there because like in the journey from the beginning, there's always a suffering. But once you see fruits, while you're building that fruit, you will be happy and amazed and like say an awesome words to yourself because you are almost there towards your goals, what you want. So that's how I will like talking to them, that's how I will lead them. Yes.
So this is for those who are, in this particular quagmire of sandwiched in between looking after their own children and having to look after parents, because the parents who are living longer today, and so they are staying alive much longer. So the longer you live, the more chances of you getting age-related degenerative diseases get more and more. And so this is very critical for this age group to start to save and make it a culture. Talk to us about saving as a habit culture. It's a culture that is worth living in, right? And embracing it as a lifestyle, right?
Yes, we have been taught when we are kids, we know how to take the money from our parents. We have been given
Yeah, I
a
know.
piggy banks.
I
Yes,
know.
yeah. Every time your uncle money, you have to put it. Whoever uncle auntie give it to you, just put it. You save it. So we are taught to be safe. But one thing we haven't teach is like how are we going to manage that while we're kids. So whenever we are like growing, the more we grow, we have desire. Once we saw something, we really want to buy it. I am that too before that. So we don't know how to differentiate the needs and the wants. Another thing is that we are not being taught in the school during our school time as well. We only teach to save, but we never teach to how to manage. So whenever come to managing, it's kind of like for everybody, yeah, it's just like it looks easy, but during the journey, you must have to enjoy it because you have to look at big pictures, what is going to happen to you by looking at your parents. Take your parents as like a mirror to look at them. By them having them raising us until today where we are, by them already growing old right now, they couldn't have their own retirement fund because they pay everything for us.
Right.
Yes. So that's how we have to look into that, deep into it, to manage it and to even like give it back to our parents.
Right, right. I mean, point taken, and very well. You laid it out really clearly. I mean, I'm a pretty good example. And but when I talk to my own children and I say, 1997 there was a financial crash, and they would say, "Oh, Dad, but that's your time. That was then. Today is different." But actually, it keeps on repeating itself. Like I just said, 40 years ago was inflation time. Today we're talking about the same word, inflation. And so money is something that the management of it is a lifestyle thing. So talk to us about, how, just like how we are coming out of COVID, we call it the new normal, where we all have to walk around with masks. How do you live a lifestyle with inflation? Because we need to embrace inflation as within that bubble. We need to develop a lifestyle within this inflation bubble. Value of money is probably half of it. I heard last night, Stephanie, when they were discussing this in UK, they're talking about inflation going to 14%, 15%, and if you really want to save, Would you agree with me that your income saving should be more than inflation?
Your
The
income,
percentage.
okay, your income, what you have saved is not to save in the bank only. You need to make your money to grow. That's how we can overcome the inflation in the long run.
No, no, no.
Because
But I know. But let me stop you there.
mm,
Let's say in Malaysia they're talking about inflation, what, 7%, 6, 7%, if I'm correct. I mean, I'm sure there are financial
yeah,
consultants out there. Well, what's the current inflation rate going on now, which are all
yeah,
predicting to come?
yeah. The currently government has been declared about 3.4%
I think
overall
it's
for
much,
the
yeah, it's
yeah,
much higher.
yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that if I am earning,
Mm,
my capacity to have it more should be more than the inflation percentage, right? For example, if I put my money in the bank, the FD would give me probably 2%.
mm.
If I put it in anywhere else, whatever I earn should be more than the inflation to really be positive.
Yes.
All right. So this is the quagmire because the value of money is going to come down with inflation. Is am I correct? Educate me.
Yes, the value of money, yes. The paper money has no value, as we all know. How are we going to have something in our hands that can generate more value to you whenever we need it at that time of period? Let's say like 10 years time down the road. So we're looking on that. But if we know that we are very traditionally like saying it where we are at the comfort zone, the banks, but we never want to step up to take the opportunity just to explore further up how we can overcome this inflation. But once you already like understand how you can do it with a certain of a vehicle mode, and then you are like, it's really open the eyes. That's how I get into the industry.
Right. No, the reason why I'm asking is because you just have to take the handphone, get onto the YouTube, and the amount of sponsored ads that are drawing people into put your money in 10x, 5x, the all you can name all the X's in the world. And they're talking about from this Bitcoin to that coin to no coin. You are in a world where money matters are all over the place. I mean, you just don't know where to put your money. And as I always tell people, and I've learned it very bitterly, the best real estate is yourself. Because if you invest in yourself and grow in the knowledge of financial literacy, I think that's the safest place to be because you can't trust anything around you. So if I had 10,000 right now and I'm showing it to you, and I gave it to you and I tell you, Stephanie, make this money grow, what would you do with it?
First of all, I will ask you, Charles, do you have emergency fund? And what's the purpose to grow this money?
Well, the purpose is so that if I have to go in and do any health, crisis or whatever, I got money to bail me out.
Okay, in how long? Give me a time period.
5 years?
5 years. Okay. So the other questions, the important question is, do you have emergency fund with you?
No.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
now let me stop you there. I mean, for those who are listening, this is real life. You're talking to a guy who was financially illiterate nearly all my life. Stephanie, listen to me. We live in a condo, and across is another condo. And from my 14th floor, I can see this condo. For all you young people listening on YouTube, the sandwich generation, this is what I'm telling you what happened. And I used to look at this condo, Bayshore. It was called Bay. It had a lovely veranda facing the sea. You understand? And finally, I found out that was going for sale. So I went in there with my daughter and measured the floor, measured everything, because I wanted to bring all my furniture into that condo, right? It was my desire. And then I met a good friend of mine. We were having coffee, and he asked me the same question you're asking me. He said, but in this time it was a different fund. He said, "What is your retirement fund?" And I said, "Nothing." Then don't you dare touch that house because that house will end up selling it to actually pay towards your retirement fund. So I think these are real life issues, right? So I give you that 10,000. You're telling me if I have an emergency fund, I say no. Then what are you going to do with it?
Okay, no, and then we have to start up your emergency fund first. I will ask you, how much do you spend every month, your
Okay.
expenses? So
Okay.
from there, we have to look into like, at least you need to have a 3 to 6 months to have that emergency fund. Okay, so from there, we will go further down. After that, then only we can start new things to grow your money, that 10K.
Okay. So basically, you got to have that money standby separately first before we can start.
Yes, because you say
Immediately.
you, yeah, because you say you want to get ready to go to a hospital just now for
In
your
case,
medical.
huh? In
Yeah,
case.
in case none of us can predict the uncertainty in our life, even though at home. So that is the importance of emergency funds.
How do you create wealth?
The create wealth is the first of things to create wealth is like you have to know, understand. Okay, how can you do it? By explore. You get the knowledge. You have to look for someone by asking the questions, because you cannot just like simply, you Charles, you give me 10,000 without knowing anything. For me, I will ask you and I'll tell you how is it works. Once you understand how it works, it is like planting a durian tree. We all know durian tree. Once you plant it, you have to be disciplined. You have to water it every time. So it's the same thing in the journey. So by in doing that, you can see how your wealth is going to grow. And another important thing is that your discipline. They say creating is easy, but accumulation along the way, the journey is not everybody have that discipline. So you have to be patient also.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered, Stephanie, how do the rich get richer?
Yeah.
I mean, they never seem to go poorer, unless the one or two of them really go and put their money in the wrong place. But how you can you answer that? Well, how do you, I mean, sure, in
Yeah.
America you would have wondered how the heck these people are.
Yes. One thing I've like amazed of I did think of these questions where I was working in the restaurant. I look at how my bosses, they are Greek American. How are they going to make money? And I explore how they make money, and I get to learn there. And I did ask them some questions, by observing how they make money. And oh, that's how they use their money to grow. It's not just sitting there. By money growing, it will grow like a double, triple up. Yeah, for sure. Along the journey, there is a risk, but we have to leverage like how much risk will you able to take? Like for example, the house. One things I always like, even though ask myself and everybody also like my clients that I seen when they told me they want to buy a house, just one question: if you have savings for 30 years from your working until right now, just to buy your desired house, now, if one day uncertainty happened to you, are you okay to have all this saving gone and your house been taken by a bank? Because I cannot like tell you what to do, because this is your life and I only can advise you. You can see a bigger pictures, because that is everybody's own responsible.
Responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's point well taken because, like you said, I think the greatest gift in this whole journey of financial literacy is learning how to let go, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. I even let go of my first house because I am unable to pay the loans in Malaysia while I'm back here. I let it go. I sold it off. And I remember one of my friends that who leads me to this financial literacy way. He said one word: once you let go right now, the crisis you're having, the best will come behind you. I trust this. I let it go because I don't know how to manage at that time. That is the financial crisis I'm having. Okay. Another thing is that I couldn't pay off because my loan is much higher than my rental. I still have to pay other things. So once I let it go, Until now, I've been able to get like at least two apartments with me. I'm good with that because I know how to deal with that. So once you sacrifice something, you will gain better than the other one.
Oh, that's wonderful advice, Steph. Living within your means, is that what you're trying to say, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's not. Mm.
sorry, yes, go ahead.
It's not what other. It's not what you see other people's have. It's just what my capability to own it. Is it a needs or a wants in my life? Another thing is that what do I want to have when to enjoy the lifestyle I want to coming time, to enjoy that fruits in a later time, but not now.
Yeah, I mean, point well taken. I mean, I had a sports car called a Toyota Saurus, it's a
Wow.
beautiful car. And the whole hood could go into the booth, and I used to take my evening drive in that car. And I remember when I bought it, I took a video of it and I said, "Here she comes." And then just a few months back, I had to sell it and let it go. And I took a video again and I said, "There she goes." And of course, it was heartbreaking to see that beautiful car go. But the relief is that you're not bonded, because, sometimes all these financial things can lead to bondage, and they can snare you. And I know that, in fact, many of the mental ills that have happened during COVID and the crisis time is where they have mental problems, so loneliness, loan sharks. So many people pay the price, all because of money. And so as we come towards the third, the final quarter of our discussion time, what is the three most important key points that you would like to leave as a consultant, regarding desires of the heart? What would you like to leave it with us?
Yeah, my key 3 points will be like equip yourself with knowledge on financial literacy. The secondly is ask yourself, what are the financial desires of your heart? The lastly, like stay disciplined with your personal financial planning to enjoy the fruits later. That is my three key points. Yes.
What if I can't wait for the word later? I want to have it now.
You can have it now, but once you have it now, can you take it later suffering? Just ask yourself, because I couldn't help that. You are your own entity. Once you can answer that to yourself, you know what you want to do.
Yeah, I remember that Warren Buffett used to say, "Wait 7 days before you want to buy something."
Yeah,
The right, the
I
seven.
did that. I did
Yeah,
that.
the 7 day principle of waiting. Don't go for it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
But tell me something, Stephanie. I mean, you're in such a privileged position, I would put it, because you're able to have gone through life. You know what wiping tables means to you. You know what it is to save. You know what it is to come back, buy your dream home, sell it. Your parents went through bankruptcy. You have gone through all the trials concerned with the dollar sign. When you look back and right now where you are today, what are the key lessons that you would have learned in your personal life?
The key lessons I learned through my personal life is, yeah, for sure, I want to enjoy like everybody else. I am able to enjoy even though I manage the money like strictly disciplinedly, because everybody just makes a target where you want to travel, because I love to travel. I'll make a target when I want to travel, so I will save that money for traveling. So like what you say, 7 days, like having that discipline not to get something, come back, but after 7 days you forget about that, because I know what it means by needs and wants. Wants is something that I put in the storeroom a lot like a garbage. Yeah.
All right, all right. Um, Stephanie, I must tell you this. 3 years ago, I went for my first non-medical seminar in Kuala Lumpur. All right. Over my years of working, 40 years of working, it's always been medical conferences. I never educated myself about the other faculty of having a mindset concerning with wealth and money. So I went for the first time to what's called the Millionaire Mind Intensive, which is authored and structured by a gentleman called Harv Eker, and it was held in Kuala Lumpur, and he was talking about six jars. Tell me that there's so many programs I see on telly and all that. It's about this millionaire mindset. What are your thoughts about this millionaire mindset kind of thing? Is it healthy?
Yes, millionaire mindset is what you put into your minds to make you walk further. So how are you, like, you can't even like you feed your mouth with something like the food is not fresh. You have to feed something good. It's something to our mindset. If you say um, good words to yourself, your thinking and your minds are moving towards the positive side. If you say something unhealthy, it's the other way around. So I always like, another thing is that you have to mix around with a positive peoples that will having a same direction like you. So
Right.
I mix around with positive people. Yeah. That is one of the healthy mindset we must have. And you talk positively every day because you are you, you know yourself. Nobody knows you. So just say some positive words towards ourselves.
I agree. I mean, it's you against you. It's me against me. I remember I came back and I printed these six jars that he was talking about and how to split your daily income into these six jars. Until today, those pictures are still on the wall, and I'm still yet to fill up even a single jar. But next to it, there's a writing there which says that if you do not know what you're doing wrong, then you're not doing it right. And so, what is the when you talk about economically, in a poverty state of mind, what is the biggest fear that you have when it comes to money?
No money. That's my biggest fears. No money. Because you are the only one. I am the only one who responsible for my finance. Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, nobody, yeah, somebody might give you food, but how long they can supply to you? Everyone's have their own problems. I also have my own problems. So I have to responsible to myself. And if you have a family, you have to responsible to the families. So that's is one thing that I am really afraid of before that. But since I know how to start to manage, I used to cook food to bring it to work while I in New York City. So this is one thing that we in Malaysia, not a lot of people doing it. I know the trends will be coming soon because of inflations, and this will really give us a healthy lifestyle. You eat well, and your food is from your home, so you save a lot. And this is one of the things like, yeah, no money is one of the things that I really afraid of. I doubt everybody having the same like me.
No, no, no. I'm sure. I'm sure it's in the pocket of everybody walking around because today we're living in a world where we can, with the phone, grab and phone panda, and you get this food panda coming in pink and lovely color, and then you got this green grab guy coming in, and it's just with a matter of just a digital app, and you are on the way. And because I know every time we grab into the clinic, your minimum of 20 ringgit, 25 ringgit. So by the time if you're doing two grabs a day, you're talking about 50, $60 gone. And so if you're not careful, they might just grab your money and the money is grabbed and gone. So, so at the end of the day, it's all about being prudent. It's about being financially prudent. How do we watch over the money? Um, and and you've talked about wealth creation. How do you make it grow? What are the other warning signs that you think will be happening? I mean, we got to be alert now that with this coming in inflation and the cost of living is going to go up. How do we brace ourselves as a consultant, still keeping our desires alive and our dreams alive? Uh, how would you brace ourselves for that?
Still the same, like my three key points, like equip yourself with financial knowledge. Okay. And you still have to ask yourself the same questions. What are the financial desires of your heart? Because without that, you couldn't walk far and further down. And discipline is one thing with our personal financial planning. We just want to enjoy the fruits later. If we had prepared that before the inflation, before the pandemic, we already enjoy the fruits right now. That is the key points, the same key points I'm going to give.
Absolutely. Well, this is well spoke. I mean, well said. I'm a big believer and a big advocate for network marketing because I believe that when it comes to an industry of the 21st century, at the end of the day, it's a people economy. It's no more people versus a stock market or a Bitcoin or gold or that. It's about people. It's about investing in each other because the burdens are going to be shared burdens. And the biggest gift I think is the gift of giving, isn't it? Talk to me as we close. When we talk about networking, we talk about connecting. I'm connecting with you right now, connecting your desires with financial responsibilities. How important is the art of giving that feeds the incoming wealth that comes into you? Let's end on that note. The art of giving, to be generous. Talk to us about that, the philosophy of giving. How has that mattered to you in your life?
Okay, for me, giving is not only by giving money. What I learned during MCO is like giving is how you give out some things that you do it happily. Honestly, during MCO, I did do some planting. I planted some papaya trees for the neighbors here because that time I feel like I'm happy because once it's grow, everybody can enjoy it. Let them enjoy it because the giving is not about the money. I'm enjoying and doing this. And once it's grow, some of us, like most of us, can enjoy the fruits later. So I won't feel like heartbroken whenever they go and take it. No. So I felt I am giving. This is one thing I learned from during the MCO of the giving. It's not because of money. What in your heart make you feel happy to give. So yeah, another thing is that I really enjoy sharing with people like how they can be into a financial literacy by understanding further down. Yeah, everybody's here who listening. Yeah, you all may connect with me via my IG, Steph Yap 868, or you can WhatsApp me at 011-1104-6469 so I can connect the financial desires of your heart and make it a reality to you.
Yeah, well said. And, well done, Stephanie. Listen, we have enjoyed you. You have given more than yourself. The knowledge that you have given is enriching to get us into a better platform, a better footing of how to, handle what's coming ahead of us, to be beyond the curve, so that we get the eyes to see. We've got the ears to hear what you're saying, and it's been such a fun time with you on matters that can be no fun at times. And but at the end of the day, it's been wonderful. And so for all of you who have just joined us on Heart Talk, the Inner Club, you can join us on the Inner Club. Just connect with us, charleshearttalk@gmail.com, or you can actually WhatsApp us at 016-8415-224. Once again, this is one of 2 or 3 part series on financial literacy. I think it's a key to not only wealth within ourselves, but wealth as a community, to grow, to know that the greatest gift in life is the ability to earn. And so, in the Hebrew language, worship and work are the same words, avodah. And so we want to worship the giver from all sorts of funds that we can have today. So once again, from all of us and from Mary, who is the producer of the Inner Club and the Heart Talk, Stephanie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll connect with you again, and let's keep our desires and dreams alive. Even during good times and bad times, we still have each other. So from all of us, wonderful lunchtime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Charles Lee here. If you enjoyed what you just heard, then please subscribe to Heart Talk with Dr. Charles Lee, and press that bell so that you get that ding dong when we are next up live. And we're also on Instagram at Dr. Charles Lee Pro. You can also get me on Facebook, The Inner Club. So together, let's just live that one life that we have and live it well. See ya.